The original was amazing, but what about its little brother? Sleeping Gods was the first campaign game that I've completed. I played only one campaign of this game, but it was enough to see how amazing this game is and still is to me. And for that specific reason, it holds a very special place in my heart. And just because, yeah, it was something new to me. I didn't play a lot of games until I played Sleeping Gods. It came to my collection quite soon, and the story was very immersive. I was very interested in the story. I was very curious to know more about exploring locations and get to know a bit more of this world. And I remember that it really helped to immerse myself even more listening to the soundtrack of Peter Jackson's King Kong. It really fits like a glove, because sometime during the movie, they are looking for the island, the Skull Island, I think, and they are on a boat. And there you are spending most of your time, or all the time, on a boat, and you might encounter monsters, and so that kind of gave me the impression that it could be something like King Kong. And so I do recommend, and still today I recommend, that if you play Sleeping Gods, just put the soundtrack of King Kong in the background. This game is in my top 20 somewhere. I say top 20 and not top 10. I think last year it was in my top 10, but yeah, I didn't play this game already for a while, and other games might go up in the list. So we will see when I do my top 10 list this year where this game stands on. But yes, I do love this game, but it's not because it's one of my favorites that it doesn't have flaws, unfortunately. One of the first ones is the number of crew members, which a lot of people complain about it, which is 9. 9 crew members. And why is it a problem? Each crew member has stamina, each crew member has health, they will get bonus cards, they have skills, they have weapons, special bonuses, and all of that can be very overwhelming, at least in the first hours of the campaign, because you will be trying to be the most optimal with all your crew members. You don't want to use too much stamina on this one, because otherwise you cannot use his skills for the challenges. You don't want to maybe fight a monster too much with this one, because he's very important in your crew in your crew, and you don't want him to die, and so after you cannot do skill checks with his skills. So you'll spend a lot of time in the beginning looking the way that you can be the most optimal with the crew members. That can generate some AP already there, and so what could be fast actually takes a lot of time. Then, and this is the one that really hurt me, was the grind. And by grinding, I don't mean only the resources. You get resources here and there, and you need to be very careful on how you spend them. But it's also the traveling. So, for example, here you will get some quests, all right? And the quests kind of have a description, but some of them are very light and high-level descriptions, like something like northeast from here, there is 3 stones in the middle of the sea, and that is the location that you need to go. Well, you start checking on the map and looking, okay, where do I see 3 stones in the middle of the sea? This seems to be 3 stones in the middle of the sea, and so you assume that is the way to go to advance on that quest. And by that quest, I mean you have a lot more, that you can have different quests at the same time. Well, you don't just go from point A to B like that. You will travel along the way, you will explore new regions, you will check the storybook, you'll maybe encounter monsters and you have to fight. By fighting or have skill checks, by fighting you lose health, you lose stamina, you need to recover the health of your crew members, and that always takes a little bit of time and deviations from your path. And most of the times that happened to me, when you get there, well, it's not really the location for that quest. And it is very frustrating because along the way, every turn, you have to draft an event card. And you have a certain numbers of event cards. You have medium events, dangerous events, and even more dangerous events. There is 3 levels. The last ones are can hurt you very bad. And after all these events have passed, the game ends. And so by doing all these travels and not going to the direction that you are supposed to go, you are spending these events and advancing on the game, which by the end, if you didn't collect enough totems, because it's what you need to do, you won't get a big score and you might not even be considered a winner of the campaign. So that was a bit frustrating. I would rather have a description, a high-level description saying that you need to go to a place where there's 3 stones in the sea, and then on a corner saying B1. And so it means that on the map it's location B1, and I know that I need to go there, because I really hate to lose time about exploring. This is not a video game, and so you want to be optimal on that. And as a final point, you have all the cards, the market and the adventure cards that you are going to collect along the way. And in the beginning it's fine, but then you are able to buy more and you get more because you explore more areas of the map. And you'll have a lot of cards around your shipboard, and this game is very sprawling. It will take a lot of table space. Be prepared for that. And even though they have a save game, load game mechanism, it is a bit frustrating to have to set up everything again and all that cards. By the end of the campaign, it was very annoying to put all those cards in the table, because they need to be visible so that when you are doing a challenge or when you are doing a combat, you want to see, can I spend some power token to use this card and maybe help me? Well, that part was also very annoying, because I could feel by the end of the game I just wanted to finish with the campaign, and I was having some AP to really be optimal, because it's very difficult. By the end you start to have not as much health, and the events are finishing, so you want to speed up, you want to be optimal. You start looking at all the cards, and they take a lot of time to analyze. But even with all of those flaws, Sleeping Gods remains one of my favorite games of all time. Interesting enough, Red Raven Games last year or 2 years ago, they had a new crowdfunding campaign for Sleeping Gods Distant Skies, which they kind of made marketing around that it could be the solution for solo players. Along with that, because today we are not going to talk about Distant Skies because I didn't play it yet. I do have it, but I still didn't play it. Along with it, they released as a real board game, Sleeping Gods Primeval Peril, which is what we are going to talk about today, even though my introduction to Sleeping Gods was quite big. And this was an original print and play game in the first crowdfunding campaign of the original Sleeping Gods, and now they decided to release. This is a game for 1 to 2 players. It has only 5 characters, and I can already tell that that part can be an improvement. But is it all unicorns and rainbows? Well, I can tell you from the top that this is a way more streamlined game compared to Sleeping Gods. They removed a lot of things here. They made some things good, and some things that I don't know if it's all rainbows and unicorns. The setup is really easy and simple. It doesn't take a lot of table space. You have the map, you have your 5 characters, and you have some tokens and some cards. So in terms of setup, it is already a very good improvement. The 5 crew members, it's way easier to manage and way easier to see the full picture almost immediately, because you know that you need to optimize everything along these 5 characters, so it's way easier to split everything with all of them. In terms of the cards, goodbye fate cards, goodbye market and adventure cards. I mean, there is some cards that kind of do that, but they do replace the adventure and market, but they don't work the same way. Fate cards are also not here in the game, which I'll talk a bit later, can be a bit annoying for some of you. In terms of the book map, you have it's not only a book with a map. You have in one page you have the map, and in the other you see the monsters that you might encounter along the way. So no more enemy cards like you had in the original one. The rule book is also very simplified. You don't have a huge amount of pages. You don't have the player aid as an extra. You don't have the starting scenario, so all of that is removed. You just have the rule book, and well, there's no starting scenario. The game is kind of a starting scenario, and I believe those are the main tweaks. Did I enjoy them? Well, guys, I know that the name of this channel is DiceTuga, but I really hated the dices, I don't know, in this game. They removed the fate cards and they replaced with dices. And I do like the mechanism of drafting fate cards. Some people don't, I don't know why, but I do like the mechanism. It reminds me of Journeys in the Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings, because you can have some way of mitigate the luck by checking what is the top card, deciding if you want to put it on the bottom, if you want to shuffle it, if you want to keep it there, maybe look at the top 3. I don't know if that's possible, but I know that you had some way to mitigate the luck by having a bit of control on the cards. This is gone. And even though you have some bonus tokens here on this one that allow you to re-roll the dice, there's nothing more frustrating that you roll a die, -1, you use the bonus token, re-roll again, -1 again. That is very, very frustrating. And so it feels sad to replace all the mechanic of the drafting of the fate cards by a simple die. Another thing that I didn't enjoy at all was having the enemies visible in the map, next to the map. The way it worked in the original one is that you would go to a location, you would explore, and maybe you would have a combat. And when you would have a combat, it would tell you, go pick up the cards 27, 28, and 29. And that's it. And that's when you would find out who are the enemies. Here, you might just be going through the book, the map, because you want to see what is in the map. You might be just going through the map and you'll see all the enemies. I've seen the end game boss 10 minutes after I start playing, because I didn't understand well the quest. The quest is something, and so don't make the same mistake, but the first quest is go to a specific location where there is waterfalls. Go to that location, and then you might advance on the quest. So that's the first thing I did. I went for that location. Problem is, you should only go for that location when you have collected enough, they call it blood flowers, because that is the goal of the game. You need to collect those blood flowers, like you had to collect totems, and only then you go to that location to do something. So I went to that location, and next to that location, you have the end game boss. So there's no surprise in there. And so that kind of, yeah, I don't know, that didn't work for me. I think it removed the element of surprise that you would have with the cards. The combat also changed because you don't have anymore, well, again, the fate cards to improve the accuracy of your weapon. Not saying that it changed for bad. I think a mix of this one with the original Sleeping Gods could do better. In the original one, you would have 4 power tokens that you would use in a specific character, and you would use that character for to do that to fight that a specific monster. Here, what you have is more of a mechanic of deck building. So you have a combat deck, and you are going to shuffle it, and you are going to draft 5 cards. You play 4. And by playing 4, you are going to choose a crew member where you are going to use that card, and choose which monster you are going to fight with that card. And you do that 4 times, and then it's the turn of the monster, and then you redo the combat. In this one, monsters now have also called power tokens. So when a monster attacks, because if you attack a monster, you give them damage, but they can counterattack you. And when they counterattack you, they will use the amount of damage that they can do, plus the power tokens that they have at that moment. So it can be very, very painful, because they can earn power tokens during the fight. So this kind of pushes you to do the following strategy. If you remember in the first game, and this one is the same, you play those 4 cards, you fight against the monster, and then at the end there's the end of the turn triggers, where the monsters have end of the turn triggers, and the trigger can be something like give 5 damage to the crew members, give poison to 1 crew member, give I don't know, I don't remember the name of the skills, but like paranoia or something, and so this can be hurtful because it's not it counterattacks, and it might earn as well power. Okay, so at the end of the round of the turn, they can earn extra power. So instead of being 2 + 2 and hit you with 4, they might be able to earn even more 2, and so then it's 2 + 4, which is 6, and 6 will cause a lot of damage, considering that most of the crew members only have 8 health. So what is the strategy? You will go and do damage first on the end of the round triggers, because after you don't need to deal with extra power, you only have to deal with the damage, the basic damage that they can do, and then it's most of the times it's quite easy to fight. I think that doesn't work well either. I remember that I had some issues with the fight, the combats in the original one. And I think they could try to mix both, and they would be able to have something. But the combat, you have these cards, you roll the die, and it's all dependent on the die again, and not anymore on the fate cards. Another point is that the start and the end of the game are defined since the beginning. Like I told you, I understood wrong the quest, and I immediately went to the end location because it was kind of described that way, and so I immediately went there. And remember that I complained about the grind before in the original one? Well, I think that part is gone, but maybe too much. because unfortunately I didn't feel any interest in exploring the areas. Like I told, you need to collect blood flowers, but I was able to collect blood flowers because you have specific locations on each part of the map. Like you have caverns, you have like treasures, and you go there and you do a challenge, and if you pass that challenge, you win blood flowers. Or you can just go to a numbered location. That numbered location sends you to a number in the storybook, and then you might be able to find something and also get blood flowers. But the story didn't seem as connected and as intriguing as in the first original Sleeping Gods. So that was a bit of a disappointed. I didn't really felt at all, while in the first game finding the totems was very hard. In this one, I think they simplified too much, and it was not hard enough to collect the blood flowers. Then you have the shipboard, which is just a shipboard. In the original one, you could do some actions, and I really found that part very thematic, because you could be able to restore some health, you will be able to restore some power, and when you would suffer ship damage, some of the areas of the boat would be damaged, and so you could not access those locations anymore until you would repair that location of the boat. So, and that for me makes perfect thematic sense. Here, if you get damage, you get damage. That's it. Nothing happens. There's nothing that will come from causing damage to your boat, unless you go all the way down. Your boat is destroyed. You lose 1 day to restore the boat, and that's it. I didn't feel any pressure on that. Nonetheless, I like that the shipboard has, the original one also had, but here it's even simpler, has all the actions in it, and they are all very easy to understand due to the iconography and the explanation. So you have travel, you have explore, you have rest, and you have repair. I do love the fact that you don't need to go to a port like on the original one in order to recover the stamina and the health of the crew members, and you can just do it from the boat. I mean, it's brilliant. It's perfect. You just have to spend 1 moon. Basically, the moons are the passing of time. So after a certain number of moons, you get to the end of the game. That's it. There's still events, but the events are not what determines the end of the game. The moons are. And I do love that, okay, I want to restore the health and the stamina of my guys, just lose 1 day. And that's it. They are done. I don't lose time to go to a port somewhere and restore their health. That was very annoying, and I do love that in this game. When you do an action, here you either spend one, you have a smartwatch token, you either spend 1 smartwatch, which represent maybe an hour when you travel, and you waste 2 smartwatches when you explore or when you repair the boat. By repairing the boat, you will have to spend those 2 smartwatches, and you need to throw a die. Based on the number that you get on the die, you might be able to restore more or less of the boat. This is the cost of the actions. Another thing that I really enjoyed was the leveling up of the characters. So you will be collecting blood flowers, and after you collect every 5 blood flowers that you collect, you are able to level up your crew members. And by leveling them up, you allow them to have more skills. So when you do a challenge, a skill check, it will be easier because they have more icons of those skills, and they also they have the capacity to store in this game, and they will be also by leveling up have even more slots for you to store the resources. Resources in this game can also be used as skills, and they are quite abundant. So you can use a resource to give you, in a skill check, to give you extra icon for you to succeed in that challenge, or to use like to give you one health, to remove poison. So different resources will have different effects. So I did really enjoy that. After the end of the campaign, I realized that there's a lot of the numbered cards that remained unexplored, that might allow for some replayability, and that was a pity. I felt like I didn't explore all of that. In terms of artwork, it's amazing as always, and the components are very good. So we are left with a question, which is this Sleeping Gods Primeval Peril a game for you? Well, there's different answers for this. If you never played Sleeping Gods, which in here there is both the expansions and the metallic coins. If you never played this beautiful piece of art and you want to get to know a bit more of the mechanics, but with baby steps, then yes, this is definitely a good start. This is a streamlined version of Sleeping Gods. Don't think that is something like Jaws of the Lion, what Jaws of the Lion did with Gloomhaven. When you finish Chapter 5 in Jaws of the Lion, you know the rules for Gloomhaven. It is not the same thing here. This will give you some mechanics and some rules that work in both games, but you'll still have some things different here, because what was tweaked here, it doesn't exist here. So you'll have all the things about the fate cards, you'll have the market and the adventure cards, you'll have the events, you'll have some things in the combat as well that change. So there is some differences, but this already is a very, very good introduction. So yes, I would go for this one if you want to do on baby steps. Did you hate the grind? Did you hate the combat, the card management, but you still want to revisit Sleeping Gods? My answer is yes. This can be your Sleeping Gods. This can be the one that works for you. It is, again, very streamlined, very little cards to manage. This could be a good choice. Is the original Sleeping Gods one of your favorite games of all time, like it is for me? Then I would say that skip maybe this one. It is not the same thing. The story is not, for me, as interesting as the original one. It's still good. It is very good compared to some other campaign games. This is written very well, but it seems more like that the story is not connected. You don't have as much quests, and it doesn't intertwine like in the other one did. So for me, by the end of the game, like I told, I saw a lot of numbered cards that were left, and I was like, they might remain unexplored, because I'm not planning, at least not immediately, to do a second campaign on Primeval Peril. The tweaks that they made on this one are not always an improvement, in my opinion, and the ones that are do not justify for the replaying, the replay of this campaign. But that's Sleeping Gods Primeval Peril. Let me know in the comments what are your thoughts. Don't forget again to subscribe, leave me a comment. I love to interact with you. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I'm everywhere. And let me know in the comments if you played any of them, what are your thoughts on them. And yeah, I wish you a very good end of day, morning, afternoon, weekend, whatever, and see you on the next one. See ya.